Please describe where you believe homeschooling, charter schools, and/or voucher programs should fit into our Tennessee education system.
All of these things are very useful. Our bottom line objective is to improve the educational experience for the children in our state. And the reality of it is there's not a one-size-fits-all solution for each child. And any of us that have multiple children know that our children are very different. I've got 3 children, by the way, in public schools. And let me just go ahead and tell you that this is my frame of reference. My 3 children are all in public schools. But my 3 children are all very different. And they learn in different ways. They assimilate into the culture of a school or the environment of a school differently. They interact with their teachers differently. Everything about them is different. But yet we want the same outcome, and that is we want them to be socially well-adjusted among their peers and how they relate with adults, and we want them to be educated. Well, as a parent, I need to have the opportunity to put my child in the environment that maximizes the outcome that we desire. And if my child is in a school where it's not working, I need to be able to have the choice to put my child in another school, or I need to be able to have the choice to homeschool my child. Charter schools are a very good idea. And I'm going to run out of time here before we get into why they're a good idea, but these are the choices that parents need to have the freedom to make so that their children are educated in the best possible way.
I have a question about homeschool, about charter schools and vouchers. Basically, I agree with Carrie in the respect that there's a place for each and every one of those. You know, charter schools are designed to allow the brightest and the best to go to an environment that will help them grow and prosper. You know, too many times some of our brightest students are hindered in our classrooms because you have some underachievers in there, and the teacher has to accommodate all of them. So charter schools have a place right here, right now. I have lots and lots of friends that homeschool their children, and are doing an excellent job. We're very fortunate here to have Aaron Academy, to where that they can come in and have people that are trained in science and trained in higher math to be able to offer them a more advanced education, because even though I did well in those subjects, I wouldn't be qualified to teach that. But that we have a great system going there. Voucher systems, I think the voucher, I'm all for that in most cases, but I know it could be potentially abused. But overall, for Sumner County, we have a great school system. We're in one of the tops in the state, and so even though I think some of these programs will be great for some of the inner city schools, it's not as important for us right now at this particular time. But yet, I do see the opportunities that, like charter schools would be, is still something that we need to continue to push forward.
First off, let me say I am in favor of vouchers, charter schools, and homeschooling. But let me also say this, that I believe that education is a personal responsibility that begins first in the home, secondly in the community, and thirdly on the state level. Where does that leave the federal government? Nowhere in my book. We have their budget among the several states. Listen, we're an intelligent and sophisticated society. We can fix this problem. Throwing money at it will not do it. And we need to go over our budgets, and we need not to have a lot of federal mandates that cost us additional expenses. So, yeah, I'm in favor of those, but I'm also in favor of getting the federal government out of our personal lives and out of interfering with our state government lives. That's going to take some doing, but yet we can do that. Thank you.
This next question will be answered first by Mr. Stromat, and we'll come back to the start of the table with Mr. Slater and Mayor Wildorf. Tennessee currently requires a permit to carry firearms in the state, which costs permit seekers approximately $200 in classes and fees and takes approximately 4 months to receive. Some states allow citizens to carry firearms without the need for a carry permit. Do you prefer our current carry permit requirements, or would you prefer a system that is more restrictive or less restrictive, and why?
The current system we have, I think, is the system that I prefer. You know, getting permits, carry a gun, you should have a permit to carry it. You know, and I know we had problems this past weekend with guns, but it wasn't the guns that killed somebody. It was the person. So I think our system that we have working today should be used, and then maybe add on to it some type of mental health ruling that would take care of that. But I do feel like the carry permit, as long as we have a permit, we should be able to do that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I did see a red card there for Mr. Jones, and so that indicates that he wishes to speak at this time.
I would like to speak to that, because when I read the Second Amendment, it's unequivocally clear that we have the right to bear arms. And some of you know that a lot of workers who have permits, their employers prohibit them from bringing them on and locking them in their cars to work. And what good's a self-defense going to do you if you can't take it to your workplace? But what I don't read in the Second Amendment is that, except for employers who didn't disagree with it, it's not there. We have the right to bear arms. Not only that, but the Commerce Clause is way over abused. We've seen it in the Montana, the Tennessee, and the other states that have passed the legislation that says, what's made in here is our business, it's none of the federal government's business, it doesn't get registered. That's what it's about. And it is none of the BATFE's business if we make it here and it stays here.
Thank you, and we'll come back to Mr. Slater now. Yes.
Of course, when it comes to gun ownership, we're talking about a constitutional right, the Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment does state that we have the right to keep and bear arms. Our founding fathers, when they understood that that was an unalienable right and then memorialized it in the Constitution, the reason that they put it there was so that we as citizens would be able to own firearms, knowing this, that a free people is not easily overtaken by a totalitarian government when we have the means to defend ourselves. And that's the reason that our founding fathers established the Second Amendment, so that we can keep and bear arms. I am for responsible, legal gun ownership. I believe that the legislation that's been passed here in Tennessee recently recognizes our Second Amendment right and also promotes legal, responsible gun ownership. And I applaud those type of efforts, and I'll continue to support the Second Amendment right of individual, legal, responsible gun ownership.
I also believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm a proud gun owner. And I have several guns, and I think it's our right to have those and be able to protect ourselves if necessary. I do feel like that our permit system is a good system. I think it's a shame that we live in a society that we do today where we have to have some type of screening and some type of process. I think Mr. Slater used the right words, responsible. That's what we have to do, is be sure that our gun owners are responsible and they do meet some kind of criteria and do have some kind of training. Just think about it. And anybody go out and get a gun and start shooting, would you want to be anywhere around some of these people? I don't think we would. Police officers have to go through 40 hours of training every year on firearms. And I think a one-time permit and a 4-hour class on being able to shoot and hit the certain target is not too much to ask. But again, as citizens, we need to have that responsibility ourselves.
Mr. Condon, you'll be the first to answer this question. As a state senator, how would you use your position to improve the job market in Gallatin and the rest of the district?
Well, I've been involved in economic development for many years. I was involved as county executive in Unicoi County. I would work with the county commissions and the economic development boards and the Chamber of Commerce to come up with ideas to entice or recruit industry. We've got a good climate. We've got low cost power. We've got low taxes, no income tax. We've got a lot to sell, and we've got a good workforce in the 18th district. And I would work to do a recruiting program, to work with the responsible people in the counties to do a recruiting program to go into areas in the north that have industry but really can't afford to operate anymore. And that's one of the reasons they're going to China. So we could do things here cheaper than they do up there, and people are wanting to move south constantly. So we could give them a more of a reason to do that. And I've got a proven track record in Unicoi County when I was county executive and director of the Northeast Tennessee Industrial Development Agency, brought industry there that's still there and still producing.
If you've been following this story in the Gallatin newspapers, you've seen that the city of Gallatin is trying to establish itself as a foreign trade zone, one of 6 such cities in the state of Tennessee. Now, it's really interesting when you look at a foreign trade zone, what they're trying to accomplish is this: an environment in which a business pays less in taxes and has fewer regulations to deal with. Well, stop and think about that. A business wants to go where the taxes are lower and where the regulations are less. These politicians just figured this out. We should have been doing this years ago. And why is it that Gallatin is vying to be just one of 6 or joining 6 others? Why shouldn't this be across the 18th district? Why shouldn't this be across the state of Tennessee? You see, somebody out there figured that if you lower the taxes and make it a little bit easier, the businesses will come. So let's take that principle and let's apply it on a much larger, a much wider scale. Thank you.
First off, we're looking for jobs. We need jobs to put people back to work. We've got way too many people unemployed. I've got a lot of friends that have been struggling looking for jobs for 1 to 2 years now. They're taking lesser paying jobs to make ends meet. But as a small business person, I understand that small businesses account for 80% of the jobs throughout this state, throughout this country. And the way to start jobs back, you already have the existing businesses. You got to give them a way to start hiring again. You got to get the government out of their pockets. Just matter of fact, 2 days ago, I received another survey from the Tennessee Department of Employment to fill out. Well, guess what? I filled it out 3 months ago. Same form. I have all kinds of regulations on my business. That we get inspected for radiology. We get hospital inspections. We have to fill out pharmacy forms. It just goes on. And so we have to hire more people just to be able to take care of the government regulations. So we got to get the government to back off and let businesses work, let businesses thrive. But we also need to provide some incentives to where they can start hiring again and put people back to work. That's going to get us immediate. And then we also have the Tennessee Small Business Development Center out of Ball State that is an excellent resource to help people grow and prosper. The state government, it's their role to help bring in industries, and that's what they need to do for us and all the rest of the state.